Hey, I'm Chris, and today we just got the cylinder in, and we're going to take it apart, and we're going to see what's wrong with it. I always take off this first. This is just a support for the wiper and the seal that's inside. I take that off first so it helps me pull it out afterwards. Okay. I'm going to take it off with the gun just to make it a little quicker. It's tight. There we go. Nope, got to use my thing. Doesn't like the speed. If I can give a pro tip, okay, a lot of cylinders coming off farm equipment or log splitters, a lot of people overlook the rod. And so a quick tip is, you may not be able to see any scratches or dings in it, but there'll be flats in the rod if it's worn. And you could feel it with your fingertips if you move across the rod like this way, like that. And if the rod is bad, you'll feel flat marks. So it's not all the way around. And you can only feel it with your fingertips. And if you can find those, you have to get your rod re-chromed. But your new cylinder, when put back together, will last a lot longer because you've got those flats are now gone because you've re-chromed it. That's just a tip, because a lot of people overlook the rod. They say, well, it looks good, it must be good. But that's why, you know, like, we try to make sure that your rods are perfectly round and the perfect size, so that way the cylinder lasts a lot longer. This is probably been in a high heat area, so everything gets dried out, and that's why they don't come out so easy, and you see lots of rust. It's called a entry guide lift cylinder, and I had looked it up just to see if we could see what it was on or off of. I have no idea. This is a, you can call it a gland retainer, and it has the wiper. This is a wiper seal right here. And that just prevents stuff being drawn into the cylinder, but it also holds back the rod seals on the inside. So this is just a retainer, and it does provide a little bit of stability to the rod. Okay, so next step, we're going to remove these bolts and split the gland from the tube. And that I'll use my impact. So. This one came in dry, not with any fluid in it, so we won't be draining it. Now, there's not to say that there is goop in there that's really thick, but it certainly didn't have lots of oil in it. So. And the fact that it came to us extended, it's a little curious too, because they weren't able to get it back in together. So we may have some trouble there, but we'll see. There you go. Hi, if you guys like this content, like and subscribe. Okay, so now we're going to split it. And we're going to use the strap to take some of the weight off. And we'll see if we could split this gland from the tube. And then we'll get to see what's inside. It's like Christmas. There you go. Well, if you guys have any questions, leave comments in the comment box, and maybe next time we could answer those questions or give you an example on how to make things easier. Now I'm just going to give it a little shake. Okay. Trying to get this to crack right here. A lot of times it's easier just to put a fitting in here and be able to hit that fitting to crack it here, or put a wedge in this crack, and that'll help pull it back, because these seals in here are holding tight to the rod. So I'll be back in a sec. Beginner's luck. When you actually get the right size fitting. All right. I just have to use a little bit of brute force. All right, you see that? Okay. Now I can use my wedge. Oh, another pro tip, put a bucket underneath, because you never know what's inside. And there you go. Got some liquid here, mostly water. This is probably because it came with the ports weren't covered, so it probably filled up with rainwater. Okay. All right, I don't know if you can take a look at this, but we've got rust on the inside. So you see there's big thick rust there. It means that this cylinder's been locked in this position for a long period of time. Water's gotten in there. That's the rust. So we're probably going to have to use the machine to pull it apart. So that would be something interesting that you guys could see, is us using a machine to pull it apart, because to break through that rust, to pull it through, it would be very difficult for me to do just by manpower. You could use some ratchet straps, come-alongs, but you'd have to anchor the one side fixed either on your bench, you know, using a tractor or a truck to pull on it. We can try, here we have the crane, we can angle the crane and see if we could spray the inside and wiggle it back and forth, and it may walk itself out that way. But here in a cylinder shop, we have use of this bench that we can move stuff around. So it's able to turn, right? And then you have, you can extend here. This is what we use to pull it apart. And we're able to hold on to one side and then grab onto the other side and then pull it apart with the use of the crane. So we might have to do that, so you guys might see that. It is a little difficult though, because we have that. So I'm thinking that if we put a bar through here, put it through here, and then take this side and use our Bessie clamps on the back here, that'll work. Put an angle on my crane. Yeah, see, it doesn't hold it stiff, eh? Yeah, and it just wants to move the whole thing. And I can't use my thing because it won't go all the way around. It might. Let's see. Let's try this. Okay. This is just a little rust penetrant. Okay. That's just in case we get lucky and it wants to slide out on us. Okay. Feels, that's stiff. Okay. Don't want to crush that too much. That's so when I lift up, the back end doesn't go down. Not a muscle. Not an... That's pretty tight. Okay, so let's get the bench set up. Sometimes it pays just to investigate to see what the easiest and quickest solution will be. So sometimes, yeah, that'll work, but if not, it's no sense of continue to waste your energy. Use the machine, that's what the machine's for. But the machine takes a bit of time setting up, so. It's a bit of an order of operations with this thing because we have limited overhead travel because of the amount of space we have. So you notice that head is in the way of our crane, so I got to bring that back. Okay. Next, pick up the cylinder. Estimate the balance point. Not too bad. Let's give this guy a little shove. All right. All right. Next is extend. All right. You can see what I'm doing here? It's putting together a puzzle. Okay, so then I'll take this guy and I'm going to lift it up, bring it further this way. Drop it down in here. Hold that there. Bring this guy here. There we go. Give us some space. I got dangling from everywhere. Okay, drop it down. There we go. Let's get this guy back in. There we go. And I gotta get it to line up. Okay, this guy down. That looks pretty good. Anybody see what I'm doing? Okay, and back. Okay. Disclaimer, I've never used this machine for this purpose before. Oh, well, for this purpose, but not for something that has a flat end like this. But in this business, you have to think outside the box and figure out ways that can make your job a lot easier. And as long as we can support the cylinder, it should all be good. And I'm thinking that if we pull just a little bit, just enough to break it loose, we should be able to take it back out and then pull it the rest of the way out. That's tight. That down there. Okay. Let me sure it's locked in at the end. Go down here. Yes. Okay, that's locked. This here. There we go. There we go. Safety first. All right. Extend. See that? Almost as if I knew what I was doing. There you go. I think that's far enough. We got it. Now I can set it up so I could take it apart without it. I don't want this to fall, so I don't want to pull it all the way out because nothing there to support it. But I have this stand right here that I could use to support it. I just want to protect the rod because it's good. We've determined that the rod is good and we don't want to damage the rod, so let's put some things in so that we can protect it. So, of course this is in my way. Wood, a soft rag, anything just to take the pressure off the rod. Okay. Try that. Then I'm going to grab some wood to put underneath just to catch it so it doesn't hit anything. There we go. Nice soft landing. Extend. Okay, so we're going to bring this down. There we go. And extend. Okay, bring this back. Okay, up. Okay, extender. There you go. It's a good thing it's just water. That's how you pull apart a stubborn cylinder. Okay, so next I'm going to get it out of here, and then we'll start to pull apart the piston and the gland. Now to get it out of here, I have to use a little bit of ingenuity. And that water stinks. Trapped here. All right, that should be okay. Okay, pull this guy back. Okay, now check to see where the balance is. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, back's still heavy. So drop it down.
Ooh. Whoop. Take a look here. That's pretty bad. That's why the water smells horrible like that. It's like The cylinder's been treated like a sewer. This way. All right. This one's weird. Put this here. There we go. Let's try here. Oh. That's all right. We'll go. Okay, well, it's locked in and safe. I just have to get that machine back to its closed position so I can move the crane. So we got two choices. We have to remove this piston, and as you can see, it's well covered in grease, grime, and crud. And we have to remove the clevis at the other end because it has to be able to function so that when they go to hook it back up, they can screw it in or out in order to line it up. So we got our work cut out for us because I don't think it's going to be clean out the holes, put a wrench on there, and it's just going to spin out magically. We're probably going to have to use some high heat and some pressure. Yeah, like I said, normally they have an end on them. Like that on both ends. Normally I put some arms in there, then a rod through there, and then you just pull them apart. But the clamps worked, and add that to the textbook. Let's get this guy out of the way. It's like the handyman's friend. There, back to normal. I'll bring this guy. There. Okay. Let's clean this guy up a little bit so we can see what we're doing. In that hole right there, we've got a set screw. That's what locks the piston in. If you forget to take that lock screw out, you're going to have a very hard time removing the piston, and you'll probably ruin the threads on the inside trying to take it off. So always look for some sort of locking device on your cylinder, because quite frequently they're there so that the piston doesn't come loose while it's in operation. Yeah. So if you don't remove that, piston's going to be really hard to come off. Most of your cylinders at home won't be like this. They'll be a lot cleaner, hopefully. A lot of times what they do is, so that the set screw doesn't back out, they flare the steel. That's why it's difficult. But once you see the set screw coming out, once you push past that flare, it'll get easier and easier. There. That's your set screw. And then always check your hole, because sometimes they'll put another one on the inside, and then you're really screwed because you thought that you only took one out, and then you start to turn and then you crunch the one that's inside. So make sure that it's empty in there before you start. All right, I'm going to grab the tool to take this piston off. Any guesses on whether this will just unscrew or will it be stuck? This is a type of spanner wrench. It's I guess we could call it adjustable, because it can go for different sizes, and it's a little heavy duty, and you could give it a little smack with the hammer. This is where you put your safety glasses on. Sometimes give it a little whack. Oop. Doesn't look like it. I'm going to switch to this style just to see if it will be a little better. This one is just your standard one. It's more flat. Sometimes you get a little better grip. Okay. Hold here. Come on. Nothing. Right, take the seals off, and then we'll apply some heat to it, because sometimes not only on top of a set screw, but there's rust in there that we already know because we've seen it, and two, sometimes they use a little bit of Loctite, so we'll have to go that route. These are called wear bands, and these help to extend the life of your piston seals, so that as the cylinder's going back and forth, not all the weight of the rod and the gland and everything else is putting pressure on your piston seals. So you have these wear bands to take some of the load off of your seals. Now, to get these off, they're very difficult, so what you have to do is you have to cut them. But you don't go all the way down because you don't want to score the steel underneath. But you just put a little bit, just so that when I stick a pick in there, it's not the full thickness and it's not as tough. So that's the little tip there for big cylinders like this. You want to weaken the seal so that when you do stick something in, I can pry up, and then I could cut the rest of the seal out. So I can go in like this on an angle, and then when I lift up, you see how it splits there? Then I can take it off. Okay, and then you can go like that. You take your X-Acto knife and just kind of give it a score. There. That's the easy way. We never reuse a seal, never reuse a wear band, and a lot of the times we don't reuse our cushions. These are all wearable items, and they'll shrink and obviously harden and leak over time when you're talking about seals. So yeah, we'll always replace back to brand new for all your wearable parts, so that way the cylinder is back to as new condition as possible and the customer gets a product that's going to last a long time. There we go. And that's how you do that. Then after work, I'll have to go see my manicurist. When you're taking apart a piston, you don't want to score the important areas. The important areas are where the seals sit. Down in there, those have to be smooth, and there can't be any scratches or dents or dings in this area right here. Right? This is where your wear band sits. It doesn't hold back any of the fluid, right? But you want your edges to be clean because you want your wear bands to sit in back properly, and this is where your other seal sits. So here, you can't scratch any of these areas. So that's one thing to take into consideration when you're trying to put any hard device on the steel. You don't want to mess the machine surfaces up because you don't want to cause any high areas, because then you could scratch the inside of the tube, which would then cause for oil to get past the seals, and then you're back to square one. So just be careful of that. Always use stands and things, wood or whatever, to ensure that we don't damage the cylinder. Well, there is one other way. If you can't get the piston off, no matter what, you get yourself a good machinist and you have him machine this off and make a new one. But that becomes very costly. It's an option, yeah. Try to clean up as good as I can. Get all the rags and stuff out of the way, and a little soap and water. So that these two holes are like that, and then I can get my tool in on a 90 degree. So let's do that. Now, let's try this again. Get our tools that we're going to need in a handy spot. And we're going to need that guy and a glove. Hi, if you guys like this content, like and subscribe.